one movie that I want to talk about is one that I was able to see at the cinema. Technically, it's still playing.
Yeah.
But by the time you see or hear this, it will have already come and gone. It's a film called Chasing Ice, documentary. Was able to see it last night, and there was a pretty healthy crowd there. I was very happy to see a lot of people there. I was also one of many people that took advantage of some free tickets through a fund that was really urging people to come out and see the movie. And so I was able to take that in, and I really liked it. I was really impressed with the movie overall. It's a film about climate change. And essentially the spin on it is that James Balog is a photographer, and he's been a photographer for many years. And I've actually seen a lot of his work, but I didn't realize that I'd seen a lot of his work until they started sort of showcasing it in the actual movie. He does a lot of stuff with nature, did a lot of stuff with animals and sort of humans and their interaction over the years. But something that really moved him was when he started photographing. I don't know why. I thought of like 15 different ways of not saying it right. Photographing nature, particularly Arctic nature and still life. And the film basically goes on to explain that he never really believed in climate change. But then as he kept visiting all these locations, he became more and more convinced that something was happening in these places, particularly in Greenland, in Alaska, and even Montana. At times. So it's basically the story of his doing of going out to these locations, setting up cameras that will take pictures over a period of time. So like these time lapses in these extreme locations, and basically show you that indeed there is something happening here where the ice is basically disappearing. And the idea is that because the climate is getting warmer, or global warming is taking effect, it's really affecting these places to the point where they're just dumping all this water into the oceans, thus causing all these much grander natural disasters that we've been seeing in the last few years. The efforts put forth to make this happen are very impressive, and that shows you that. It shows you sort of the step-by-step process that he had to take to get out to these locations, the team he came up with the Extreme Ice Survey is what they call themselves. And just some of the cinematography is just mesmerizing at times. You just sort of get lost in it, and then then you sort of like snap back into reality and be like, oh, I forgot this is kind of a message movie. I mean, it's clear that it's a message movie, and it definitely it has an agenda, but it doesn't. I feel like doesn't really push it too much, because it's just like, look, here's the evidence. Like we don't have to really say that much.
Yeah.
Like here's this place 3 years ago, and here's it now. And it's like, oh, did you Photoshop that? Like, it's just like, no, he like went out and showed it. And so actually what is something I thought of sort of halfway through is that it's a documentary of a documentary. It's very interesting, because this camera crew is following him as he documents these locations. And I thought, okay, well that takes a lot to pull off, because you never really see the camera crew, the video camera crew, although there is a video camera crew that you see videoing, and it's just sort of like, oh, like they keep the two completely separate, which I thought was really impressive. The one thing though that I will say is that it didn't necessarily have to, but I was kind of expecting it to say, what can we do? Like, what's next? Because it kind of just made it seem like this was irreversible. Yeah. And that doesn't make me feel very good about myself or anybody I know. Yeah. Like, shame on us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it doesn't, at times it doesn't leave you feeling very hopeful about the future, but it gets there. At the end, it kind of just is like, okay, like we've drug you, through the ringer a little bit, and like pointed our finger at everybody else. And the guy actually takes ownership, at times of just things that have happened. And you can't really run away from the facts too much. And this is his way of sort of demonstrating that. It's a tool to sort of demonstrate that scientists do believe that something's going on, and this is what at least is being affected by it. I mean, it may not mean like on a global scale that it like everything's, just gonna just, go away, although most people would say that. But it definitely is a case for these particular locations that this is not normal. At least it hasn't been normal for the, hundreds of years that we've been sort of visually keeping track of it. But definitely leaves you feeling a little distressed when it's said and done. And honestly, I can't think of a better place having seen it than the IU Cinema. It just looked amazing the whole time.
Well, I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, I gotta see this at the cinema because just the trailer itself, just some of the shots they were getting was like, wow, that looks amazing.
Yeah, and it definitely did. So I was very happy about seeing it.
Yeah.
So highly recommend it. If you didn't get a chance to see it at the cinema, find a way of checking it out and let us know what you think.
Yeah. A Place for Film is recorded at WFIU Studios in Bloomington, Indiana.